Chosen one, I need you to stop scrolling for one moment, not in a minute, not after this thought passes, right now. Because something is about to be said in the next few seconds. That did not arrive on your screen by chance, and I need you to give me 30 seconds before you decide this is just another video to swipe past. You have carried something to God that you have not said out loud to another living person, maybe whispered in a car with the radio off, maybe in the dark lying awake when the house was quiet. And the pretending finally stopped. You have asked. You have waited. And somewhere in that waiting, a part of you began to wonder whether the asking was even landing anywhere at all. I am here to tell you it landed. This is not a coincidence video. This is not background noise for your scroll. This is the answer that was already in motion before you ever opened your mouth to ask for it. Something in you just recognized that. I felt it the moment I said it, because that is how truth works. It does not need permission to be received. It simply needs a moment of stillness, and you just gave it one. So stay in that stillness. You did not stumble onto this video. It was placed directly in your path. Heaven does not operate by accident, and the exact sequence of events that brought you to this exact screen on this exact day was not random chance. It was design, aimed at you by a God who already knows everything you are carrying, and chose this day to speak straight into the center of it. I have spent many years standing in front of people delivering messages like this one, and I have learned something about who actually stops to receive a message, about provision, about breakthrough, about heaven opening over a life. That has felt closed for too long. It is never the person who has had it easy. It is never the one who has slept peacefully every night, with no weight pressing on their chest. The person who receives a message like this has walked through fire that should have ended them and somehow did not let it. And that is exactly who is watching right now. You, still here. Still hoping, even when hoping has cost you something. Still carrying a quiet certainty, somewhere underneath the exhaustion, that your story has not reached its final page. So make one decision with me before we go any further. Decide that for the next half hour, this is the only thing in front of you. No second screen, no wandering thought pulling you towards something else. Just this moment and what is about to be placed inside it, because what follows is going to reshape how you see every hard thing you have already survived and everything that is coming next. In the time we have together, I am going to give you 5 signs that prove your breakthrough is no longer approaching. It is already active. I am going to walk you through a story from Scripture about a woman whose life looked finished until it wasn't. I am going to hand you 2 ancient words that will permanently change how you carry your waiting. And then near the end, I am going to speak 4 declarations over your identity that will not leave you the same person who started watching this. Whatever you do, do not leave before the end. You will regret missing what is coming. Before I give you the first sign, I want to do something most people skip. I want to honor what your waiting has actually cost you. You have been waiting, maybe for a season, maybe for years that have started to blur together, and somewhere in that long stretch of time, a thought has probably crept in that suggested the holdup was something wrong with you, some flaw, some failure, some reason you were quietly disqualified from the life everyone else seems to walk into without resistance. I want to say this as clearly as I can. The delay was never a verdict on your worth. The delay was always about timing your position. Heaven does not starve the faithful. Heaven positions the faithful. Those 2 things sound similar, but they are worlds apart. Think of a seed buried in frozen ground. The cold is not cruelty. The cold is the exact condition the seed needs in order to crack open and reach for the surface. You have lived through a winter season, and right now, underneath what looks like nothing happening, something is cracking open that is going to reach further than you imagined. Now, I want to walk you through 5 signs. If you are watching this today, I believe at least one of these likely more, is already present in your life, and I need you to understand something about these signs. Before we go further, they are not random patterns, they are confirmation. The first sign: you have lived through an unusual season of loss. People you depended on have pulled away. Resources you once counted on have become unstable or disappeared entirely. Doors that used to open for you have gone completely silent. In the natural world, this reads as devastation. In the spiritual world, this is pruning. A gardener does not cut the branches that are already dying. He cuts the ones with the most potential because he knows the cutting is what produces the most extraordinary fruit. If your recent season has felt like an unusual stripping away, that is your first sign. The second sign: a specific number will not leave you alone. I am not speaking casually here. There is a figure, maybe a debt that has felt impossible to escape. Maybe an amount you sense you are meant to receive. Maybe a dream so precise you have been almost afraid to speak it aloud. That keeps resurfacing in your mind. You notice it in places that feel too specific to ignore. You see it before sleep, and every single time it returns, something deep inside you insists, "That one belongs to me." Heaven does not put a desire inside a person that it never intends to fulfill. That persistent number is a prophetic signal. The third sign: you have felt strangely pulled toward generosity, in a season where you had little to give. This sign defies logic on the surface. When resources run low, the instinct is to grip tighter, to protect whatever is left. But many of you have felt an inexplicable pull to give anyway, to serve somewhere, to pour out something, even from an almost empty container. Scripture is full of this exact pattern. A widow gave her last portion of food to a stranger. A boy handed over his only meal in front of a hungry crowd of thousands. That pull toward generosity in the middle of personal scarcity is not foolishness. It is a spiritual signal that you are positioned for supernatural return. The fourth sign: you have spent a long season preparing for something no one else could see. You have absorbed lessons, developed skills, carried wisdom forged in hardship that you have not yet had a stage to use. You could counsel someone through what you survived. You could lead someone through the very darkness you walked out of. And yet the platform, the resource, the opening still has not appeared. There is a unique kind of frustration that comes from being ready while the door stays shut. That frustration is not pride. It is everything heaven has placed inside you, pressing against its container, searching for an exit. The fifth sign: you almost did not watch this today. Something tried to pull you away before you got here. A distraction. An excuse to keep scrolling, a passing thought that whispered this message was not meant for you. And yet something else, quieter and far more persistent, kept you here. That was not random willpower. That was assignment. You were meant to hear everything that comes next. Because what comes next is going to rewrite the lens through which you have been viewing your entire life. And the story that rewrites that lens begins with a woman whose situation looked like total ruin. Stay with me here because I am about to walk you through a story most of you have heard before, but never quite like this. Inside this story is the exact pattern of what heaven is doing in your life today. Her name was Ruth, and when Scripture introduces her, her circumstances look like the end of every good thing. She had buried her husband far from her homeland. Her mother-in-law Naomi had buried 2 sons and a husband, and was returning to Bethlehem, an empty, grief-hollowed version of who she once was. And Ruth, who had no obligation left to fulfill, said something that has echoed across centuries. Wherever you go, I will go too. Whatever you face, I will face beside you. Your God will become my God. Notice something important. Ruth made that vow holding nothing. No guarantee waited for her in Bethlehem, no safety net, no inheritance, no visible plan. All she had was loyalty, resolve, and a willingness to trust an outcome she could not yet see. They arrived in Bethlehem at the start of harvest season, Hold on to that detail. Heaven's timing is never careless. What felt like the end of Ruth's story was, in fact, the beginning of the harvest. Your harvest season was not mistimed. It arrived right at the start of your own harvest. Ruth went out to gather grain left behind by the harvesters, the lowest, most humbling form of provision available in her time. And even in that lowly position, she worked with relentless diligence. She did not measure her situation against anyone else's. She did not collapse into the grief of what she had lost. She kept working, and she kept her eyes open. And then Boaz noticed her. Not in passing, not casually. The wealthiest landowner in the region looked at the woman gathering leftover grain in his field and asked, "Who is this?" And when he heard her story, that she had left everything familiar behind, that she had honored a grieving widow no one else would care for, that she had chosen faithfulness over comfort. Boaz did not offer her a kind gesture. He opened his entire harvest to her. He instructed his workers to leave extra grain on purpose. He told them to give her water from his own supply. He invited her to eat at his table. In a culture where women in Ruth's position held no leverage and no legal standing, this was not generosity. This was reversal. Heaven was using the wealthiest man in the region as a direct channel of provision for a woman who had remained faithful through devastating loss. See yourself in this story because you have lived in the gleaning season. You have gathered what others discarded. You have kept working even when the return felt humiliating, compared to what you know you're capable of producing. And there is a Boaz already positioned in your field, a person, an opportunity, a divine connection, who has already noticed you, who has already asked the question, "Who is this one?" who has already heard about your faithfulness, and whose resources are about to open in a way that bypasses ordinary explanation and enters the territory of supernatural reversal. Now I want to give you two ancient words, not as trivia, as ammunition, words that will reframe everything you believe about your waiting and what is already moving toward you. The first word is Jehovah Jireh. Most translations render it simply as, "The Lord will provide." But the original Hebrew root, ra'ah, actually means to see, to perceive, to look closely, to examine with attentive care. Jehovah Jireh does not describe a careless gift falling from the sky. It describes a God who sees you, every quiet effort, every faithful night no one witnessed, every act of integrity you never got credit for. And because He sees, He provides precisely what the moment requires. You are already seen. Provision is simply the natural result of being seen. Take a breath before the second word, because it carries a different kind of weight. The second word is shalom. Its more familiar cousin shalom means peace. But shalom is the verb, the action, and it means to restore fully, to make whole again, to repay what was stolen, to return abundance for what was lost. In ancient Hebrew law, shalom was the required restitution for theft, doubling what was taken. It was the obligation to restore damage beyond its original condition. This means heaven is not simply blessing you moving forward. Heaven is restoring everything taken from you in the past. Every barren year, every season of scarcity, every resource stripped away too soon, the God of Shalom is already settling accounts on your behalf. You are not merely anticipating a blessing, you are standing at the edge of a restoration so total that once it arrives, even your most painful chapters will finally make sense. Now I want to speak directly to your identity, because I have watched too many people receive a genuine promise and never see it fully land, not because heaven withheld it, but because their sense of self could not carry the weight of what was being released. Identity has to be established before provision arrives to inhabit it. So I'm going to speak 4 declarations over you, and I need you to receive them not as encouragement, but as truth about who you already are. The first declaration: you are a cycle breaker, whatever financial pattern marked your family line. The scarcity, the constant, almost but not quite, the generational reaching that never fully arrived, ends with you. not because of your own strength, but because you were willing to ask a different question and believe a different answer. Every cycle breaker in history looked, from the outside, like someone in the wrong place, until the moment they weren't. You are carrying the final chapter of lack and the opening chapter of a different inheritance. The second declaration: you are a builder, not someone who simply maintains what already exists. A builder, someone called to construct something out of what looks like nothing, the way Ruth built an entire future out of devastating loss. The way Nehemiah rebuilt walls from rubble while critics mocked his blueprints. Your season has felt long because builders are never given small assignments. The mandate on your life required this much preparation. What you carry is not a hobby. It is a calling, and the resources required to build it are already moving toward you. The third declaration: you are a pioneer. Pioneers walk land that has no map yet. The isolation you have felt, the sense that few people around you truly understand what you carry or where you are headed, was never rejection. It is simply the nature of the assignment. Pioneers are not given well-worn paths. They are given the responsibility of carving new ones so others can follow safely behind them. Your loneliness was not abandonment. It was preparation for carrying something wider than yourself. The fourth declaration, and I want you to receive this one slowly: you are a light bearer. This may be the most important declaration of the four, because everything else, the provision, the breakthrough, the restoration, ultimately exists to serve this purpose. You were not made to accumulate, you were made to illuminate. Whatever resources are coming are not a final destination. They are fuel for the light you already carry, and the darkness that tried to extinguish you becomes, by divine irony, the very backdrop that makes your light more visible to a world that desperately needs it. Your darkest season did not hide your light. It positioned it to be seen. What comes next requires your full attention. I am no longer speaking about your circumstances or your bank account. I am speaking directly to you. And once you receive what is coming, you will not be able to see your life the same way again. I want to introduce you to something called the direct funding line. In financial systems, when a major transfer is about to take place, when significant resources move from a source directly to a recipient, institutions use what is called a direct funding line. It is a dedicated route built for one purpose that bypasses normal delays and ordinary processing. It moves resources through a channel created specifically for that transaction. Heaven has opened a direct funding line, and it carries your name. Not a general blessing distributed among many, not a small share of something larger. A direct channel running from the throne room of heaven into your specific life, your specific need, your specific name. And what comes through that channel will not look the way you expected. It will not arrive through the door you have been watching. It will come through a door you did not even know existed. A person you have not yet met, an opportunity not yet announced, a turn in your story no one could have predicted. This is the pattern of heaven. A widow's oil multiplied inside the very containers she already owned. A net that caught nothing all night suddenly filled to the point of breaking the moment one word was spoken over it. A wedding ran completely dry and then overflowed with something better than what was poured first. Heaven's provision does not trickle, it floods, and the flooding over your life is not a distant hope. It is already in motion. As you listen to this right now, the transfer has already begun. I want to address what has actually been standing between you and this breakthrough. It is not your circumstances. It is not your bank balance. It is not the economy, and it is not the people who let you down when you needed them most. I want to talk about the agreements you have made. Let me explain exactly what I mean, because this matters. Every time we walk through hardship and nothing visibly changes, our minds quietly draw conclusions. We never formally choose these conclusions, we simply start living inside them. Thoughts like, "This is just my life," or "Opportunities like that are not for people like me," Or, I have tried this before and it failed, so why would now be different? These are agreements. Silent contracts made with the story our pain has been telling us. And these agreements are far more powerful obstacles than anything external, because they live inside us and quietly filter out the very opportunities that could change everything. Most of us, without ever deciding to, have made agreements with lack. We agreed with the voice that said we are too far along to start over. We agreed with the logic that said our best season has already passed. We agreed with the wound that whispered we are somehow too much, or not enough for the life we sense we were made for. We agreed with the shame attached to financial failure, to starting again, to watching others move ahead while we stayed in place. Those agreements are the real barrier, not the circumstances themselves, the conclusions we made about ourselves because of them. And right now, in this moment, every one of those agreements is being broken. Hear this with whatever part of you has ever questioned your own worth. Abundance is not a prize for the flawless. Provision is not a trophy reserved for the spiritually perfect. Heaven never asked, "Have you earned this?" Heaven has only ever asked, "Do you know who you are? Do you know to whom you belong? Do you know that the one who holds every resource in existence looks at you? Your history, your failures, your unresolved questions, and says, that one belongs to me. You are not approaching provision because you finally did everything correctly. You are approaching it because your season of preparation is complete. The waiting served a purpose. The stripping had a destination. Heaven wastes nothing. Every fragment of your hardest season is being used in the construction of what is coming. Your life is not a tragedy with a few scattered good moments. Your life is a comeback that has been gaining momentum since the very first hard chapter. And who you are today, shaped by what you have carried, sharpened by what you survived, deepened by every unanswered question, is exactly who is positioned to receive what is coming. Not in spite of your history, because of it. I want to speak directly to those of you sitting in real financial shame right now, the ones who look at numbers and feel something heavier than stress, something that feels like a verdict on your identity. Hear me clearly. What you are carrying is not a sentence. It is a test. And the fact that you are still standing in it, still believing something better exists, still present for a message like this one in the middle of real pressure. That is not weakness, that is proof. The thing heaven placed inside you has never gone out. The fire is still burning. And fire that survives a flood does not simply reignite. It burns with an intensity it no longer needs to apologize for. I am standing with you in this, not for you, but alongside you. Because what you are carrying is real. What you are reaching for is real. And the God who placed that reach inside you is more real than any figure on any statement. I want to close this by praying over you, and I want you to understand what is about to happen so you can receive it completely. During this prayer, I will refer to you as this person, because I am speaking on your behalf before heaven. But every word belongs to you. Every declaration is landing directly on your life. So if you are able, close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and simply receive what is spoken next. Father, I come before you on behalf of the one hearing this right now. The one you already knew would be exactly here, in this exact moment, needing exactly these words. I speak first to the shame carried from what fell apart, what failed, what was lost. I declare that shame holds no authority over this person's future. It has no claim on their identity. It has no power to determine what is written in chapters not yet lived. I release them from it completely. In your name, right now. I speak to the unworthiness, to the quiet, persistent voice that has insisted this kind of blessing belongs to other people. I declare that lie broken at its foundation. I declare the truth that this person was created with purpose, chosen with intention, and positioned for exactly this season for reasons the enemy of their soul was never meant to understand. Their worth was never tied to performance. It comes from the one who made them and has never once stopped pursuing them. And now I speak directly to the provision, to the resources, to the direct funding line heaven has already opened. I declare it active. I declare it in motion. I declare that every door required to open in this person's life will open, not through striving, not through perfection, but through the sovereign hand of a God who finishes everything he starts. I declare shalom over their finances, a deep and settled peace replacing every place anxiety once lived. And I declare shalom, complete restoration over every year, every resource, every delayed opportunity. I declare the harvest of their patience has arrived. The harvest of their faithfulness has arrived. The harvest of their willingness to keep believing without visible proof has arrived, and it is arriving in a measure beyond what they dared to expect. You are a cycle breaker. You are a builder. You are a pioneer. You are a light bearer. Carry that into the rest of your day, fully aware of who you are. Amen. If something shifted in you while that prayer was spoken, I need you to do one thing before you move to whatever comes next. Let it settle. Give it 30 quiet seconds. Allow what was just declared over your life to take root in exactly the places that needed it. You did not randomly land on this video today. You were given a message. And the people who receive a message like this and actually let it settle, who resist the urge to immediately scroll to the next thing, who sit with whatever just shifted in them instead of explaining it away. Those are the people whose lives look noticeably different a few months from today. I believe that is you. I believed it from the very first sentence of this message, and I will keep believing it on the days you forget to believe it about yourself. Before you go, I want to ask you for something, not as someone chasing views, as someone who genuinely believes this message was never meant to stop with you. There is somebody in your life right now, a family member, a friend, someone you have quietly worried about, sitting in the exact season you were in before you pressed play today. They are waiting, they are doubting, they are carrying unanswered prayers and wondering if they have been forgotten. You have the power in the next minute to put this message directly in front of them. That single act of sharing could be the thing that shifts their week, their month, maybe far more than that. So I am asking you, one person who cares to another, send this to the person whose face just came to mind. You already know who they are. Do not let this moment pass without acting on it. And if this message reached something real in you today, if it found you exactly when you needed it, do one more thing. Press the like button right now, not for me, for the next person who needs to find this exact message. Every like helps this travel further, reaching someone else sitting in their own hard season who may never find this otherwise. Your one action becomes part of someone else's turning point. That is simply how this works. And if this is the first time you have landed on this channel, and something about this message felt like home, stay, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is not a place built for entertainment. It is a place built for repositioning, for remembering who you are, for receiving words that do not just feel good in the moment, but follow you quietly through the rest of your week. If that is what you are looking for, you are in the right place. There is more coming. Go now. Share it, like it, stay with us, and step into the rest of your day fully aware of exactly who you are. I will see you in the next one.